Good morning or afternoon or evening, whatever it is, wherever you might be. I'm Chase Cunningham, Dr. Cunningham. If you want to be formal, I'm a VP for Security Market Research here at G2, and I've got a couple of homies on board with me today. So Amal and Brandon, I don't know if they would consider themselves homies of mine, but I will. We're going to kind of talk about some of the research that we're doing now. Brandon's going to give us some insight into what he sees in the context of privacy, and we're going to get through this pretty quick. So Amal, let's talk about our organizations finally realizing how important the human firewall is. What do we have here?
Yeah, definitely. Uh, as always, humans are usually the weakest link when it comes to cybersecurity. But organizations seems to be realizing how important it is to actually invest in security awareness training, not just for the compliance aspects, but also it actually helps to develop a data culture. So, based on this, we feel the cybersecurity solutions market is actually understanding the wind of investments coming in. So if I go to the next slide, so based on G2 data, the security awareness training category has the most number of products added to it in the past 3 months. So yeah, I think it's huge for the security awareness training market moving forward. So what do you both think about that?
Yeah, I mean, anyone listening to this that knows me is going to know that I have like a stone in my craw about security awareness training because I, I think the problem we have is people misconstrue security awareness training as an actual control. You can train people all day right and left, send a group of red teamers in on a phishing op the day after training, you'll get somebody. So I'm good. I'm glad that this is growing because it is valuable to train your people, but I would still argue that people should not misconstrue training as a technical control. Like you're, in my opinion, better off with browser isolation and WAFs and SWIGs and all those things because I can't stop people from clicking things on the internet. That's just my position. I don't know if you two have any different opinions there.
I would agree with that. It is definitely an area of our security categories that I've seen, as this data suggests, a lot more product additions. In my research, I've seen that people are understanding that staffs are both the single greatest security liability, but also the single greatest possible defense surface within their organization. So, as you said, training your staff is valuable, but because there's so many independent actors, it shouldn't be seen as a technical control.
Yeah, so I think that's it, right? Train your people, educate them, makes sense. However, don't rely on people not to click links because we got decades of proof that that is not a sound security strategy. So within this top five, I mean, Amal and Brandon, what else sticks out to you that we should really focus on? Because especially on the line around privacy. I mean, there is kind of a play here that we see with IAM and MFA and DRP flirting with privacy. So how does that play out, Brandon?
Yeah, IAM and MFA are interesting types of products because they are so universally applicable to organizations. They've been around for quite a minute, and I feel that they've both become a lot more popular in their implementation within organizations. They make sure that the right people have access to the right things, which is obviously very important in your security and privacy program. Uh, in my work here at G2, I have certainly noticed like an increase in product additions, which typically signifies that there is increasing demand. But yeah, I think they are important and powerful tools, and they're only becoming more sophisticated to meet, today's challenges.
Amal, what do you see going on with this space?
Yeah, I would also like to point out the DRP, the Digital Risk Protection Platforms category. This was very recently added to G2, probably early January. So the category as well as space is picking up a lot. So basically, what DRP does is it actually protects digital assets of organizations, and it draws features from multiple other categories, including brand protection, DLP, instant response, and more. So it's very good to see that that particular niche space is actually picking up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's this stuff is interesting. I'm always kind of dumbfounded when I see the trends coming through because we see where people are buying new things. We see what they're asking about. The value of the G2 data set continues to prove itself. This is very insightful stuff. So let's move on to the next slide here. Yeah, and really, basically, this one's interesting too, because if we think about this firewall software and antivirus, I mean, those things are bread and butter. They've been around since, the day one when people started thinking about cybersecurity and what you do in that space. Uh, Amal, what's your sort of perspective on where this is going and why it continues to show up? I'm interested that WAF now has moved into the top five.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see that. And as always, like you mentioned, it's been there ever since security as was solidified as a concept, or I would say, implemented as a concept. So these categories are always placed within the top 5 to 10, especially firewall and antivirus. And specifically antivirus, I feel there is some form of B2C aspects to it. For reason people use it for personal use as well, so the traffic could be that in some component, but the majority will again be B2B, for the reason that we always steer away from listing B2C products. So definitely a lot of B2B activity around antivirus, and I'm pretty sure it will only keep increasing more than we see right now. And something else I would like to point out is the mention of MFA as well as IAM, which again Brandon can talk about because it's a common trend. So it kind of means there is good number of products being added to it, as well as good number of traffic, which means users are interested in it as well. So both ends of the supply chain basically. So Brandon, what do you think about that?
Yeah, Amal, I think you hit it on the head exactly. On the previous slide, we saw that there is, an ever increasing supply of these products, both more simple and sophisticated to meet different organizations of different sizes needs. Um, but on this slide, you can see that there is also the demand for it. So you have lots of different tools, like especially with IAM, I specifically think of a lot of new and independent vendors that market themselves towards like smaller enterprises, staffs of less than 50 people. And then you have really big vendors who are experienced with these staffs of like hundreds of people. And they're made for security teams to really provision and govern who has access to what. So the increase in traffic, I'm inferring that is there are lots of different organizations obviously interested, but in the actual like granular, like looking at the different vendors and the different products that they are listing on our site, they're trying to target all different segments of the market because there's a growing understanding that cybersecurity and privacy aren't just for like really big organizations, it's for everybody because everybody's information is sensitive.
Yeah, I'll go to the next slide for Chase.
Yeah, and so I want to wrap up with dropping this little neutron bomb into the lake here. So we're working on some research. The blog will be coming soon. Platforms or portfolios, which one matters to buyers? I think we've had a problem in the space for a long time where a lot of vendors have called themselves platforms and they're not. And a lot of people have been seeking portfolios and they're winding up buying sort of these weird platform-y type things. So we're putting this research together. It'll be out very shortly. Make sure that you follow up here and please comment on it. Tell us that we're right or we're wrong, or you think that Amal should find a better looking co-host or something like that. But tell us what you think about this research. We have the data. Follow up with everything that Amal and Brandon are publishing. G2 is where it's at. We've got the information that you need. We've got the data that's going to validate the changes in the market. And this is where you get smarter, folks. So for Security Snippets, I'm Dr. Chase Cunningham, VP for Security Market Research. I'd like to thank Amal and Brandon for being here today. And again, follow us on G2, read our research, especially everything that Brandon and Amal publish. Thank you.